I congratulate the economics department as well as uh, Dr. Christabel and her team for having organized this seminar in this dimension. I understand that you have been deliberating on this theme for the last couple of days, and I think we are in the 8th or 9th technical session. Sorry that I could not be with you all throughout, but I could listen to a part of the presentation by Mr. Ravindran on his furniture cluster, and also a part of the presentation that was made by Professor Manju on agro products and clustering, which is associated with organic farms. My topic is based on clustering, a model for the industry. And I'm not using any PowerPoint presentation because this is because I was not all throughout and I've not, heard through the entire proceedings. I'll just quickly make a presentation of this, which is basically sharing of my thoughts on three aspects. And I request all of you that because there's no PowerPoint, and I understand it is a session which is a lead to the lunch. So you can just keep your ears and minds open and be a bit relaxed and apply your thought onto some of the points that I would like to share. Basically, I'm making this presentation in three parts. First part would be rather brief, which will be based on primarily the benefits of clustering, which I think by and large might have been covered in many of the sessions in different areas. Number two, I'll be talking about the opportunities that come out from clustering as a model for the industry, most specifically for the micro, small, medium enterprises in the industry as a micro model. And part three is basically focused on the challenges which we face in India specifically, and considering the emerging paradigm in which we are. So three parts: number one, benefits; number two will be the opportunities, and number three will be the challenges. I start with the benefits because clustering, as all of you might have by now come through, is all about sharing of ideas, sharing of resources, and looking into the benefits that we have from economies of scale. A brief, which will be based on primarily the benefits of clustering, which I think by and large might have been covered in many of the sessions in different areas. Number two, I'll be talking about the opportunities that come out from clustering as a model for the industry, most specifically for the micro, small, medium enterprises in the industry as a micro model. And part three is basically focused on the challenges which we face in India specifically, and considering the emerging paradigm in which we are. So three parts: number one, benefits; number two will be the opportunities, and number three will be the challenges. I start with the benefits because clustering, as all of you might have by now come through, is all about sharing of ideas, sharing of resources, and looking into the benefits that we have from economies of scale. So we are trying to reap these three benefits: how to share ideas and build on that for the industry, for the economy. Number two, how to share resources and thereby create a synergy, not just resources, share processes, share all kinds of. And the third part actually, it is talking about how we can ease out in business when we look at clustering. So I'm sure by now you might have heard about a lot of clustering models, because we were just listening into agroecology for agro products and organic farming products. We also looked into furniture. Kerala has got clusters for many food products. Like we have clusters which are producing what we call breakfast food products like appam, which is even being exported. In Calicut, we have clusters for halwa, which had its own pros and cons. And we have a number of clusters for even flowers like orchids, some of which operate from Tamil Nadu. We have also seen models of cluster for different kind of aquarium fishes and so on and so forth. What are the basic benefits? This is the first part. The key benefit is how you manage your supply chain. Because, as I said, this is more focused on micro, small, medium, or enterprises in the unorganized sector, which are very large in number in India, which contribute significantly to the GDP and which contribute significantly in terms of employment. What are the challenges that they face? You might have heard a number of examples. The challenges, they procure raw materials or they procure services in very small lot size. And when you have clusters, maybe 15, 20, 30 of them in one particular place, you see that they can procure this in a larger quantity. So procurement becomes more easy and you get benefits, cost benefits, when you procure in large volumes for the cluster rather than procuring for an individual unit. So also, you have benefits in terms of the processing that you do. Because if you're processing in small lots, the kind of technology that you can use, the kind of manpower that you can use, the kind of infrastructure that you can use, it gets limited. So this is what happens when we talk about your agro clusters or food processing clusters. But when I'm saying 20, 50, 60 units come together, they have a common processing plant and they can make their processes more technology driven, more based on modern state-of-the-art technology as well as facility that you can have. Yet another key advantage that you have is your packaging. Your packaging, including your primary, secondary delivery systems, you can make this in a more organized form, in a larger scale, and thereby you save money on that. This is what is happening when I'm saying I'm rather than saying that I put my delivery to my dealers or to my customers in a small cart load or in a small truck load. When I'm in a cluster, I do it maybe in a train load or a ship load or maybe exporting through the airlines. You see that they can procure this in a larger quantity. So procurement becomes more easy and you get benefits, cost benefits, when you procure in large volumes for the cluster rather than procuring for an individual unit. So also, you have benefits in terms of the processing that you do. Because if you're processing in small lots, the kind of technology that you can use, the kind of manpower that you can use, the kind of infrastructure that you can use, it gets limited. So this is what happens when we talk about your agro clusters or food processing clusters. But when I'm saying 20, 50, 60 units come together, they have a common processing plant and they can make their processes more technology driven, more based on modern state-of-the-art technology as well as facility that you can have. Yet another key advantage that you have is your packaging. Your packaging, including your primary, secondary delivery systems, you can make this in a more organized form, in a larger scale, and thereby you save money on that. This is what is happening when I'm saying I'm rather than saying that I put my delivery to my dealers or to my customers in a small cart load or in a small truck load. When I'm in a cluster, I do it maybe in a train load or a ship load or maybe exporting through the airlines. So this is possible when I'm in a cluster, small units to them can come together. And in Atmanirbhar Bharat, which we are now talking about under the self-reliance model, we have this possible even for those who do small scale unorganized activities without having their own place of business in their own name. So they have this kind of delivery processes where they can use the benefits to see that they get economies of scale and benefits in terms of the large delivery models that they can have. They have they can meet their economic order quantity challenges. Again, another important benefit that you can talk about is the infrastructure. Clusters can primarily act as something like a park, where you can say that, okay, we have common telecom internet facility, which is very, very important when we work on emerging business models. We have facility for power, for water, sanitation. Mr. Ravindran was talking about waste management, recycling, reusing. So all these things can be talked about or even thought about under a cluster model, because when I'm acting in small units, each unit has got its own waste. Each unit requires power. Each unit requires its own treatment plant, which becomes primarily difficult. So a cluster model for the industry talks about using power, using energy, using telecom facilities, using your waste management systems, using your treatment plants in a common format, and that gives you a real benefit over there. Again, when you are in a cluster, it's easy for you to ease out on your regulations, because if I am 10 units, 20 units, 30 units in a place, the way I seek licenses, the way I try to get clearance from different sectors, because that is one of the key issues for the industrial sector in our country, it's very huge, it's very complex. But when I'm looking at it in the form of a cluster, I'm seeking it for the benefit of a cluster which gets registered. So this is more or less quickly possible. And finally, you see a cluster has got lots of benefits when it comes to governance, because when I'm seeking support in terms of licenses, in terms of regulations, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of processes, in terms of procurement, in terms of delivery, when I'm doing it for my individual unit, the government views it as an individual entity. But when I'm putting it in the form of a cluster, you have got lots of concessions, you have got lots of what you call freedom in terms of offering those services, even when it comes to the service sector, not only in the manufacturing sector, because if it is provided to the cluster, it is provided for a common benefit, for a societal advantage. And there you can get, say, for example, getting a waste treatment plant or getting an infrastructure cluster is easier than seeking these connections individually. So these are primarily the host of benefits that you get when you operate as a cluster, as a model for the industry. Summing up, the whole story is all about sharing, bringing resources together, using is getting it done in a common format or in a common system. So this essentially is the prime advantage that you have when we are actually talking about looking at the benefits from clusters. So clusters in the industry has these numerous benefits. Perhaps when you look at the economic perspective, it also is creating a benefit of what you call preventing concentration of economic power. It brings a geographical spread in the way resources are shared. And that also helps when you have some kind of what you call sharing in terms of both earning and spending that takes place. So these are the benefits which I think are by and large discussed in different presentations that you have covered across. Now, what are the opportunities? And I think this is where I would like to focus as far as the industry is concerned. Now, as students and researchers in economy or economics, we have been talking for quite some time on liberalization, privatization, globalization. We were talking about removal of restrictions in the free movement of goods and services. We were all talking for quite some time on the GATT and subsequently WTO. And we said the world alignments to take place in order to ensure free movement. So we said WTO, we said European Union, we said SAARC. We were now talking about all kinds of such kinds of global trade agreements, the G20 and all that. But suddenly we saw a reversal on some of these dimensions. We have been looking at Brexit. Britain wants to exit. We are also talking about, no, we are not going to allow everything to move freely. We talked about at one point of time what America is talking about, the United States of America was talking about in terms of WTO. What I'm trying to point out here is today it is more of convergence in a global format in terms of business ideas. Here it is here that clusters are turning out to be more important. That means we have lots of talented manpower, talented competencies and skills, which when we view them individually might not sound to be that synergic, but when put collectively, it has got a huge and immense potential. That means the small entrepreneurs, the micro small business enterprises which operate across, when they come together, they synergize on their ideas and they can dream and think of big models, which was not possible with the limited resources that they have. That today business is not just going to be located where you have lots of raw materials or lots of funds, because funds and materials and talent have all turned to become mobile. So essentially, it is the convergence of ideas. The agro products, which Professor Manju was talking about, or the agro farming, or even the food products, or even when we talk about the furniture cluster, all of which I'm just giving some examples which you have come across. There could be a lot of people who have big ideas, but might be small in terms of their operational space, or might be small in terms of the finance that they can accumulate. Here, clusters talk about bringing your idea together and see that you synergize into a big model by looking at the opportunities that exist in the globe. So, sitting maybe in some part of Kerala or some part of India, a few entrepreneurs or a few people who are at the level of startups could form a cluster, and they understand based on the huge knowledge base, the huge digital space which today exists. They understand that there is a possibility for some service or some product, maybe in some other continent or some other part of the country. Their ideas can be pooled in the form of a cluster, and you can have an enterprise which produces small, but collectively has a huge critical mass for distribution within the state, within the country, or even for exports. For providing certain services where they might act as just franchisees or just service providers in one part, or they might be doing something in a hub and spoke model and so on and so forth. So this is happening in a big way in the garment segment. You see that happening. I saw that happening in Telangana. When you go to Hyderabad, large number of clusters of women entrepreneurs who do certain things for the large scale textile industry. And all that they do is they developed an idea that the large scale textile garment industry, they require a lot of people who will be just doing the tailoring part, who will be just doing the stitching part, who will be just doing the ironing part. The procurement and the whole thing will come to the delivery point. They just do the value addition. So the large scale sector, you require such kind of support services, which can be a big opportunity for the clusters. So they just do the assembling, they just do the add-ons to it, and any amount of business that you can carry out is taken over by the large scale segment. Now this came out of an idea which these women had, because there was a lot of scope for doing this for the industry. So it is, when I look into the digital space, we have to try to synergize between business ideas and research. Research in the digital space talks about opportunities that can exist in any part of the globe where they need some service, they need some benefit, they need some value addition to take place. It might not even be a full product. It can just be a support for a product or a process. That too is an opportunity. They just need your service for the tailoring part, the stitching part, which is itself is a big opportunity. Like that, there would be lots of processes in the supply chain which can be converted into big opportunities which can happen. So we have the research support, you have the information support, which gives you opportunity to take advantage of this through forming clusters, because 1 + 1 is always greater than 2 when it comes to clusters in business units. The second important opportunity that you have is to enhance the scale of operation when your product moves through its life cycle. As you know, any product or any service will have a stage of infancy, a stage of maturity, a stage of growth, and then finally there could be at some point of time a declining phase. Now, when you scale your operations in each stage, when you are in a cluster, you can extend the span in the life cycle. That means I can quickly move from infancy to maturity, and from there to growth. I can be in the growth phase for a long time, for an extended period in the growth phase, if I'm operating as a cluster vis-a-vis my operating as an individual unit. So this is yet another advantage that you have when you are acting as a cluster, because I find that I'm in an infancy stage for a long when I'm doing it as a micro enterprise, but in the industry, when I move on to a cluster form, together I quickly mature, I quickly grow, and that is possible because the cluster provides an opportunity for that. Yet another advantage would be the possibility for diversification. If at all you are in a declining phase, if at all due to technology there is an obsolescence, because that is the biggest part of what is happening in innovation today. Technology very fast will make a product obsolete. Technology will very fast make a service obsolete. Something which you use today, you might not use in future. Not because it is not usable, but because something new has come. So when this happens, in terms of the huge change, in terms of the huge technology infusion and the innovative part that happens, if you are in a cluster, you are more competent to meet the challenges of that change and diversify or redeploy your resources to what is more required. And that we saw unfolding in many sectors, specifically in the IT sector, more so in the pharmaceutical sector when it came to the COVID pandemic. We saw the different kinds of processes. We saw more demand coming for processes which can be done from different points. There was no need of converging into one point for giving different services. So diversification is possible, redeployment is possible, thinking of alternate services is possible. And this possibility, not that it is not impossible when you're doing it as an individual unit, there is a greater possibility for the same when you are in the cluster model. And remember, the greatest advantage that you have when you are in a cluster model is that you can take advantage of breaking limitations of time and space. Because now we are in this particular seminar, we are all sitting in different parts of the world and we are all converging on a same platform. Just like that, when you are in a cluster mode, you have, you always look for certain things in which you perhaps would be short, or you will have limitations, or you will have dislikes. Now, I'll just try and put some emphasis on what I'm trying to say. There could be something in Kerala or India which is not very much in demand here, because this is very true for agro products, food products, even for some kinds of things which come up, some kinds of products which are which we actually supplement in the fashion sector and all. So there could be certain things which are not very much in demand or very much to the liking of Keralites or Indians, but could be an opportunity in terms of being of demand in some other country or some other part of the world. Similarly, there could be certain things which are not much demanded in another part of the world, but are required in this part of the country. Now, if you are putting your minds together in the form of a number of units, a number of people, or a number of ideas which can come together as a cluster, they can identify those things on which we are at a surplus, or at which is not very much demanded here, but yes, can be produced easily. And you can put this across to a place where it is demanded, or where they have got some benefit in production or delivery. So this is all which can be done easily, even for those institutions or those organizations in the industry which are very much unorganized or which are very much small, and they have their own business models of that kind. Now, what I'm trying to put across here is, earlier it was like, if I want to start a unit, suppose I'm talking about a bank in the service sector, or I'm talking about any service organization in the service sector or the manufacturing sector, I'm looking at the space. My customer should come to a particular place. They must come at a particular time. And then I can give my services only to those who come to that space and in that time. Today, the limitations of time and space are broken. I can address customers wherever they are. I can look at their needs and preferences from wherever they are. I can deliver from a space or even from a virtual space. So this is what happens in your medical transcription, in legal transcription. These are all things which happen. That you take advantage of the difference in time, and the difference in technology, the difference in manpower cost, and you deliver. Now, why clusters here? Because if I want to deliver this service, perhaps my model might require a certain bandwidth in terms of my telecom space. It might require a certain amount of manpower, certain facilities, certain certifications, and certain standardizations, which are imposed by different organizations and regulatory bodies, which might not be possible with my limited scale. But being registered and being operative as a cluster, this becomes more easy. So this is yet an advantage that you have, an opportunity that you have when you are in a cluster. So the entire opportunity scenario unfolds from an emerging technology, from an emerging space that you have to generate ideas, to rebuild ideas, to refocus yourself into bringing people together, bringing ideas together, and trying to see that it creates, or it takes advantage of what is available, wherever it be, whatever it be. You can take advantage from there if you can convert this into a working model. Finally, I would like to share some of my thoughts. What are the challenges which we face basically in India? Already I was listening to the first part where you said, how is this going to be socially beneficial? How is it going to support employment? Mr. Ravindran was talking about 20,000 employees who are working there and all that. The biggest challenge as far as India is concerned is, if you want clusters to operate well, we need to move more into an organized space. As students and researchers in economics, India still has a huge unorganized sector. And when they are in the informal sector, when they are in the uninformed sector, or when they are in the unorganized sector, many things are not possible. Like how do they, even if you form a cluster, how do they register themselves as a member in the cluster? How do they convert themselves? Earlier, there was a reference to political interference and bringing a private limited company and all. You need to meet certain minimum conditions in order to move into an organized sector. Your financial institutions might ask for KYC, the place of your business, the registration, your ID, your Aadhaar, and things like this. Now, some of the policy changes are coming out in that line. Today, we are talking about even registration for street vendors. So they have an ID, they have a registration, but how quick it is possible? That means the first important challenge is how quickly you are able to transform your unorganized sector into the organized sector, at least in terms of knowing them by specific identity and knowing their idea, which gets blended or aligned with the identity that they have. So number one challenge would be moving from the unorganized sector, bringing them more into the organized sector. Yet another challenge which we face in India is the divide. When I'm talking about the divide, there are many things which I would like to put across in terms of the divide. Number one is your urban-rural divide. India is a country, when you travel through that, you'll see, suppose I travel from one part of the country to another part, and I go to states like rural areas in some parts of North India, it will look that you will get a feel that you are somewhere in the old Stone Age. Roads which are not properly tarred, all thatched huts, villages without power, villages without water, villages without sanitation facility, villages without waste handling facilities. Now, how do you talk about clusters there? Suppose there is potential for agro products or potentials for hub and spoke model for the industry, and people, the farmers there or the entrepreneurs there or the youngsters who want to have a startup there, they have a business idea. But given the place where they operate, or given the space which they know is a space without power, without water, forget about telecom, then how does it work? So the divide is so large, but at the same time, you have cities which have got all these modern facilities where it can happen. Then the issue comes in terms of urbanization, moving into cities, because I need a good telecom connection. I need a good power facility, at least for the cluster. So that's the processing, the procurement that exactly can take place. I need good roads to ensure that movement takes place. I need to see that there are roads to get the final product moving into the airport or the seaport or wherever. So urban-rural divide. Another thing is you have a big digital divide. We now, after the COVID pandemic, we are talking about the enhancement in the internet penetration and all that. But in spite of that, there is even though when we do your online programs, you see that some people say, okay, we are not able to reach out. So the digital divide that you have in terms of your internet penetration, in terms of your connectivity and all those issues, because this is going to be important in future when we are talking about clusters. So also the divide that is existing in social infrastructure, thanks to the Kerala model, which Professor Manju was referring to, we are having a reasonably good parameters of social growth. Let it be life expectancy, let it be education, let it be infant mortality. But what is the divide that you have in India? It is, if in different parts, in some parts, education levels are very low, women literacy is very low, still there is illiteracy, there is high levels of poverty, high levels of infant mortality, there are villages without primary health centers. So the social infrastructure gaps make it a bit complex in order to have clusters, because access to health and education, access to skills and competency building is also another factor which contributes into your the cluster operations that you have. Again, the gaps that exist in what we call the ease of doing business, because India still is having, yes, we have some of our regulations and some of our boards which are doing very well in terms of protecting business interest. But then when it is very complex, then I find it very, very difficult to run after all these licenses, get all these cleared. Cluster, as I said, has a huge opportunity, because I'm seeking many of these licenses. Say I take a power connection, I take a water connection, I take a procurement, a permit, or I take a waste management system for the cluster rather than doing individually. So there is a lot of ease over there. But even there, the number of agencies, the bureaucratic systems through which I might have to pass through is creating a challenge. So that is another challenge. A major challenge, which again we face when you look at clusters, is taking advantage of an integrated financial market. Now we need, our markets today have become the financial system that you have become highly integrated. Now what I mean by that, earlier it was like you have your financial system which consists of your money market and the capital market, and they were all highly segmented. Banks do only banking services. For Forex, I have to go to a Forex bank or a Forex merchant banker. For capital market transactions, I have to go to a depository participants. They do only that. Mutual fund institutions do only mutual fund business. Capital markets, stock exchanges, they are all segmented. But today with the same entity, I can do banking, I can do insurance, I can do mutual fund activities, I can do stock broking, I can do a part of my DMAT services. Now, a challenge here is I must have the ability, I must have the competence to use electronic services, e-finance services, because my market is so integrated. I use a digital space, and I pay my procurement bills for procurement of raw materials. I collect my amount from my dealers. I do my investment over there. I take insurance there. I do my GST clearance through it. So the integrated market must get aligned with the competency of the cluster to use your electronic finance and e-financial services over there. So that is a challenge that we actually face when we are looking at these opportunities, or when we are trying to get advantage or take advantage of all these benefits. Finally, I would put as a challenge is reduce the mortality rate for startups and new innovation hubs that you have, because youngsters have lots of new talent and potential. They know that they can come together, they can have clusters, and they can develop. But the the mortality rates for such startups, obviously being startups, it is likely to be high. But even when those mortality rates are high, the failure rates are high, we need to have a supportive ecosystem which gives good support for the younger generation, because the demographic dividend that we have in terms of age, we need to have a good system, ecosystem, which supports innovation and which helps them to understand how actually we judge risk, how actually we judge business fatality rates, how actually we can perhaps look at feasibility of opportunity. So that ability to understand feasibility, ability to judge risk, ability to take risk, ability to have good leadership, ability to have good entrepreneurship would come up if you have models, innovative systems which support the same. So this is some of the aspects that I would like to talk about in terms of challenges. Just to sum up, what I'm talking about, benefits primarily focused on sharing resources. Because if you need to have a takeaway from the session that I'm putting across, the benefits is basically coming from sharing ideas, sharing resources, and converting small models into bigger models, because you have the taking advantage of benefits of economies of scale. These are the benefits. Opportunity is primarily synergizing from business ideas, and challenges are primarily addressing the divide that you have in India, let it be urban rural divide or digital divide, or your social infrastructure divide that you have in India, and also looking at moving the unorganized sector into the organized sector through social interventions, and finally creating an ecosystem where the youngsters have a stronger inclination, a stronger feel of taking advantage of the benefits of entrepreneurship, taking advantage of the benefits of good leadership, taking advantage of the ability to take calculated risk, because it pays in the long run. So I hope you will apply your mind into some of the thoughts that I have shared. Once again, thank you for this opportunity. And I wish you all the very best in